This video features two parts with both audio and visuals. Listen carefully to each section, and then answer the questions that follow on the slides. Good luck! We have two short presentations coming up in this video, with both audio and visuals. Make sure you focus on the information, because there will be questions to answer after each one. Do your best.
Communication is the process of exchanging information, ideas, thoughts, and feelings between individuals or groups. It involves sending and receiving messages through various channels such as speech, writing, gestures, or visual cues. Communication facilitates the sharing of meaning, allowing individuals to convey their thoughts, emotions, and intentions, as well as to understand and interpret the messages of others. It is a fundamental aspect of human interaction, enabling connection, collaboration, and the development of relationships within social, professional, and personal contexts. The communication process can be broken down into several key components, which include 1. Sender. The sender is the individual or entity who initiates the communication by formulating and encoding a message. This message could be verbal, written, nonverbal, or symbolic. 2. Message. The message is the information, idea, or emotion that the sender wishes to convey to the receiver. It can be conveyed through words, gestures, facial expressions, body language, or other symbols. 3. Encoding. Encoding involves translating the message into a format that can be transmitted through the chosen communication channel. This process may involve selecting words, organizing thoughts, and using appropriate symbols to ensure clarity and understanding. 4. Channel. The channel is the medium through which the encoded message is transmitted from the sender to the receiver. Channels can include face-to-face conversations, written documents, telephone calls, emails, text messages, social media platforms, or even nonverbal cues like body language and facial expressions. 5. Receiver. The receiver is the individual or group for whom the message is intended. They decode the message, extracting meaning from the symbols, words, and expressions used by the sender. 6. Decoding. Decoding is the process by which the receiver interprets and understands the message sent by the sender. It involves translating the encoded message back into thoughts, ideas, or emotions that make sense to the receiver. 7. Feedback. Feedback is the response or reaction provided by the receiver to the sender's message. It allows the sender to gauge the effectiveness of their communication and adjust their message or delivery accordingly. Feedback can be verbal or nonverbal and serves to ensure clarity and mutual understanding. 8. Context. Context refers to the circumstances, environment, or situation in which the communication takes place. It includes factors such as cultural norms, social relationships, previous interactions, and physical surroundings, all of which can influence the interpretation and reception of the message. Throughout the communication process, there may be noise or barriers that interfere with the transmission or reception of the message, such as distractions, language barriers, misunderstandings, or emotional biases. Effective communication requires careful consideration of these factors and active efforts to ensure clarity, understanding, and mutual respect between the sender and receiver. The transmission model of communication presents a traditional perspective, depicting communication as a linear process wherein a sender transmits a message through a channel, such as speech or writing, to a receiver. This model emphasizes the clear and accurate delivery of information. In contrast, constructionist models offer a more nuanced understanding, considering communication as a collaborative endeavor where individuals collectively construct meaning. Theorists like Wilbur Schramm, known for the coordinated management of meaning, highlight the dynamic nature of communication, emphasizing how senders and receivers negotiate meaning together. They continuously adjust their messages based on feedback and shared experiences. Expanding on the definition of communication, it can be understood in various ways. 1. Information exchange. Communication involves the transfer of information, ideas, and thoughts from one person to another. 2. Social process. Communication is viewed as a social activity facilitating connections, relationship building, and the establishment of shared understanding. These perspectives offer a glimpse into the multifaceted nature of communication. Numerous other theories delve into specific aspects of the communication process, such as nonverbal communication or the influence of culture.
Questions for Text 1. 1. According to the passage, what is the main purpose of communication? 2. What is the role of the sender in the communication process? 3. What does the encoding stage involve in communication? 4. Which of the following is an example of a communication channel? 5. What is the significance of context in communication? 6. The video you just watched contains valuable information. After viewing the video, we want to ensure you've kept the key points. Please write a summary of at least 5,000 characters in Microsoft Word. Finally, submit your analysis using the provided form.
Communication is simply the act of transferring information from one place, person or group to another. Every communication involves, at least, one sender, a message and a recipient. This may sound simple, but communication is actually a very complex subject. The transmission of the message from sender to recipient can be affected by a huge range of things. These include our emotions, the cultural situation, the medium used to communicate, and even our location. The complexity is why good communication skills are considered so desirable by employers around the world. Accurate, effective and unambiguous communication is actually extremely hard. Communication refers to the transmission or interchange of information through spoken words, written text, or various other means. It encompasses the effective conveyance or exchange of thoughts and emotions, as defined by the Oxford English Dictionary. As this definition makes clear, communication is more than simply the transmission of information. The term requires an element of success in transmitting or imparting a message, whether information, ideas, or emotions. A communication therefore has three parts: the sender, the message, and the recipient. The sender encodes the message, usually in a mixture of words and non-verbal communication. It is transmitted in some way, for example, in speech or writing, and the recipient decodes it. Of course, there may be more than one recipient, and the complexity of communication means that each one may receive a slightly different message. Two people may read very different things into the choice of words and/or body language. It is also possible that neither of them will have quite the same understanding as the sender. In face-to-face communication, the roles of the sender and recipient are not distinct. The two roles will pass back and forwards between two people talking. Both parties communicate with each other, even if in very subtle ways such as through eye contact, or lack of, and general body language. In written communication, however, the sender and recipient are more distinct. There are a wide range of ways in which we communicate, and more than one may be occurring at any given time. The different categories of communication include 1. Spoken or verbal communication, which includes face-to-face, telephone, radio or television and other media. 2. Non-verbal communication, covering body language, gestures, how we dress or act, where we stand, and even our scent. There are many subtle ways that we communicate, perhaps even unintentionally, with others. For example, the tone of voice can give clues to mood or emotional state, whilst hand signals or gestures can add to a spoken message. 3. Written communication, which includes letters, emails, social media, books, magazines, the internet and other media. Until recent times, a relatively small number of writers and publishers were very powerful when it came to communicating the written word. Today, we can all write and publish our ideas online, which has led to an explosion of information and communication possibilities. 4. Visualizations. Graphs and charts, maps, logos and other visualizations can all communicate messages. The desired outcome or goal of any communication process is mutual understanding. A message or communication is sent by the sender through a communication channel to a receiver, or to multiple receivers. The sender must encode the message, the information being conveyed, into a form that is appropriate to the communication channel, and the receivers then decodes the message to understand its meaning and significance. Effective communication involves minimizing potential misunderstanding and overcoming any barriers to communication at each stage in the communication process. An effective communicator understands their audience, chooses an appropriate communication channel, hones their message to this channel and encodes the message to reduce misunderstanding by the receivers. They will also seek out feedback from the receivers as to how the message is understood and attempt to correct any misunderstanding or confusion as soon as possible. Receivers can use techniques such as clarification and reflection as effective ways to ensure that the message sent has been understood correctly. Communication channels is the term given to the way in which we communicate. It is therefore the method used to transmit our message to a recipient, or to receive a message from someone else. There are multiple communication channels available to us today. These include face-to-face conversations, telephone calls, text messages, email, the internet, including social media such as Facebook and Twitter, radio and TV, written letters, brochures and reports. Choosing an appropriate communication channel is vital for effective communication. Each communication channel has different strengths and weaknesses. For example, broadcasting news of an upcoming event via a written letter might convey the message clearly to one or two individuals. It will not, however, be a time or cost-effective way to broadcast the message to a large number of people. On the other hand, conveying complex, technical information is easier via a printed document than a spoken message. The recipients are able to assimilate the information at their own pace and revisit anything that they do not fully understand. Written communication is also useful as a way of recording what has been said, for example by taking minutes in a meeting. All messages must be encoded into a form that can be conveyed by the communication channel chosen for the message. We all do this every day when transferring abstract thoughts into spoken words or a written form. However, other communication channels require different forms of encoding, e.g. text written for a report will not work well if broadcast via a radio program, and the short, abbreviated text used in text messages would be inappropriate in a letter or in speech. Complex data may be best communicated using a graph, chart or other visualization. Effective communicators encode their messages so that they fit both the channel and the intended audience. They use appropriate language, conveying the information simply and clearly. They also anticipate and eliminate likely causes of confusion and misunderstanding. They are generally aware of the recipient's experience in decoding similar communications. Successful encoding of messages for the audience and channel is a vital skill in effective communication. Once received, the recipient needs to decode the message. Successful decoding is also a vital communication skill. People will decode and understand messages in different ways. This will depend on their experience and understanding of the context of the message, how well they know the sender, their psychological state and how they feel, and the time and place of receipt. They may also be affected by any barriers to communication which might be present. There are therefore a wide range of factors that will affect decoding and understanding. Successful communicators understand how the message will be decoded, and anticipate and remove as many as possible of the potential sources of misunderstanding. The final part of a communication is feedback. The recipient lets the sender know that they have received and understood the message. Recipients of messages are likely to provide feedback on how they have understood the messages through both verbal and non-verbal reactions. Effective communicators pay close attention to this feedback as it is the only way to assess whether the message has been understood as intended, and it allows any confusion to be corrected. Bear in mind that the extent and form of feedback will vary with the communication channel. Feedback during a face-to-face or telephone conversation will be immediate and direct, whilst feedback to messages conveyed via TV or radio will be indirect and may be delayed, or even conveyed through other media such as the internet. Effective communicators pay close attention to this feedback as it is the only way to assess whether the message has been understood as intended, and it allows any confusion to be corrected. You may be unsure if a message has been successfully received and decoded, especially if you do not get much feedback from the recipient. If so, you can always ask a quick question. The quick question is a good start. For example, "Is that okay?" or "Are you clear about that?" If you want more detailed feedback or to check that the recipient has really understood, you might say something like, "So, let's just run over that one more time. I think I am going to do X, and you are going to do Y. Is that your understanding too?" Bear in mind that the extent and form of feedback will vary with the communication channel. Feedback during a face-to-face or telephone conversation will be immediate and direct, whilst feedback to messages conveyed via TV or radio will be indirect and may be delayed, or even conveyed through other media such as the internet. Being able to communicate effectively is the most important of all life skills. Understanding more about communication and how it works is the first step to improving your communication skills. A good understanding of the process, and how it operates, will help you to become better at encoding and decoding messages.
Question for text 2. 1. In what ways do effective communicators make sure their message is understood? 2. Why are good communication skills valuable in the workplace? 3. What is the main difference between face-to-face communication and written communication? 4. Which of the following is an example of a communication barrier, according to the passage? 5. What is the role of feedback in communication? 6. The video you just watched contains valuable information. After viewing the video, we want to ensure you've kept the key points. Please write a summary of at least 5,000 characters in Microsoft Word. Finally, submit your analysis using the provided form.